Okay, well, welcome, everyone. This is Tonya Brewington. I'm the CEO and founder of Courageously Alive and the creator of the Heal, Thrive, and Prosper method. And I just want to say thank you for participating in this very first Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat for 2023. It is a new year. I have some exciting things coming, and I hope whoever is participating, that you will participate in some other things. Because we do have a solid lineup of guests who will be on the Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat this year. And it is designed to be a place of empowerment for those of you who are coming and showing up and getting the information that you need. One of the things I want to share is that this year, I'm actually recording more of these Courageous Conversations Fireside Chats so they can be available in our community later at different points. So if you're on here, again, we do talk about things that can be sensitive, but just be aware that your content, your comments may be there available in the future as much as possible. If it's too sensitive, I will make an attempt to edit it out so you don't get, you're not infamous in what you say, but I do want to make sure that you're aware that we are going to record more of these. So anyway, let's get started. I want to say welcome to my very special guest, my girl, Miss Angela Durant. Angela is a brand strategist and the CEO and founder of the Be Brilliant movement. And she, in her work with Be Brilliant movement, works with a lot of entrepreneurial women who are interested in finding and really expressing their brand. For those of you who have gone to my website, courageouslyalive.com, Ange and her team have put that together. So you get to see an example of the types of work that she does. And I just really feel blessed and excited that she has, that her team has really put together my website and my brand. So everything that you see from me, from my logo, the colors, the brand stamps, things that you may see related to Courageously Alive, they're coming from the Be Brilliant movement. So I just want to say thank you for that. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to you, Ange. I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hello. It's wonderful to be here. I was super excited to kick off January, this brand new year with you. I call you T Brew. Yes, I'm Angela Durant. I am a brand strategist and the creator of the Legacy Brand Method. I'm the founder of the Be Brilliant movement, where we are famous for building brands from the inside out. And your project was amazing to do. One of the things that we love is that we enjoy really getting to know the founders of these brands and getting to the heart of who you are and making sure that the brand fully expresses who you are so that you show up unique and different in your space. And I loved really kind of digging deep, like really discovering the Courageously Alive brand, right? Who knew you were a scuba diver, right? Who knew all these wonderful things about you and how you show up in the world? And we wanted to fully express that in your branding. And so that's what we do with each and every entrepreneur that we work with. And I remember when we first started working together and you were like, Ange, you see me, you get it.
Yes.
And that's the great opportunities that we get. We work with entrepreneurial women mostly. And like you said, we build brands. We do it from the inside out. We never start with the aesthetics, but we do the aesthetics. You know, we do the website, the color palettes and all of that, but that's not where we start. And so we want the clients that we work with to really show up powerfully, both in their businesses and in life. And so that's what we do.
Awesome. And the reason I wanted to invite you to this particular Courageous Conversations Fireside Chat is because we're at the beginning of the year. And this is a time when people typically think of starting fresh or starting anew, really. So it's like people want to do something new. They want to do something different. And to me, part of the newness is also related to how you begin to show up as you in the
Mhm.
world. Because often, not often, sometimes we don't think so much about how we are branded personally as
Mhm.
much as what's going on externally. So we'll think about, yeah, I do this, I have these gifts, I have these talents, I do this kind of work and I do it well. But there's an element of personal branding that also determines how high you go, how far you go, and how you're perceived in the world. And the way that you're perceived really has a lot to do with how people will engage with you. What do you
Right.
think about that, especially with
Yeah.
personal
It's
brand?
so true. It's so true. And the way you're perceived has to do with how far you can go, right? How high you can go, and how many doors open up for you, and what kind of opportunities are available to you, right? Like, I think it was Jeff Bezos that said that your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room,
Right.
right? And we have a big part in cultivating and designing what that looks like,
Mhm.
right? We get to decide, if we create that, what what that looks like when the person's not there, right? And I think most people they're not deliberate about, what do I really want my brand to say? What's the story that I want to tell? How do I want to be remembered? How do I want people to think about me when I'm not there? Even whether you're going on an interview,
Mhm.
right? When you're competing against all these other people, how do I really want to stand out and stand apart from my competition?
Yeah.
Or you're going on a date, and you want to, you really like somebody, you want to be memorable in that way. Like, what is it that you can do to stand out, and really being authentically yourself? And oftentimes I find that people are kind of morphing into somebody else, or they're trying to be something that they think their audience wants them to be,
Mhm.
versus really being truly who they are, like really putting that stake in the ground and saying, this is who I be in the world, and leaning fully into that. And that really is what makes the difference.
Right. And so how can someone really identify what amounts to a personal brand for them, and how can they maximize what that is? Does that make sense? So how can you first of all identify what is a personal brand? Is it the clothes that I wear? Is it the way I wear my hair? Is it the way I wear makeup or not wear makeup? Is it the way that I talk to people? Is it the way I engage with people? What types of elements actually allow you to make up a personal brand? Because we know what's involved with people, with you branding a business, which can be very different than when you're talking about what it looks like personally.
Okay, so let's talk about what a brand is,
Mhm.
right? Because sometimes people think a brand is just, like a logo, right? Or what, like, when they're thinking about a personal brand. Well, what does that mean? What is it?
Mhm.
So a brand,
Mhm.
period, is another person's gut feeling about you.
Mhm.
Like, it's the space that you occupy in somebody's mind, right?
Right.
It's the impression that you make on them, right? So it is the way you make somebody feel, right? It's the way that somebody thinks about you, right? So when you're thinking about, how do I cultivate that? It is all those things combined, right? It's all those things. So when you start with those things, that's the reason why we start from the inside out. So let's think about it. And always like to use the analogy of dating, right?
Right.
I always like to use the idea of dating, because everybody can relate to that. So
Right.
let's say you're single, right? And you don't want to be single, right? You want to find, in my case, you want to find the man of your dreams, right? You want to
Mhm.
find your Prince Charming, but you're home alone on a Saturday night, right? Right? So the first thing that I would say is, start with you, right? You're going to start with you. So I'm going to create a brand that's very appealing to my ideal mate. I have this idea. So the first thing you want to do is start with, what is it that you desire? What is it that you want, right? So you want to start with the inside.
Mhm.
Who are you? Who do you be in the world, right? So you want to start thinking about, what are your core, first of all, what is the purpose, right? The purpose of the higher purpose of what it is you want, what it
Mhm.
is that your desire. We want to think about what the mission is, like what your mission and your vision is. Like, what do you see? What do you foresee? Like, what is it that you want, right? And then you want to start thinking about, okay, like, how do you see yourself? Like, who's the person that you need to become to have the things that you want? Right. And I think that's really important when you think about stepping into 2023 as a person, right? And many of you who study like NLP or think about like things that you meditate on, or you're thinking about things that you want, or visualization, right? Start thinking about, who is the person that I want to become? If you're setting goals for yourself, you know, like for one of the things that I say is that I'm a wealthy woman, right? So if I'm a wealthy woman, what does that look like? Or if you're a woman that wants to, we go back to the analogy of somebody that wants to be dating or wants to be married, what does that look like? What kind of woman that is a woman that's wife material, right? Does she hang out in the club all night and drop it like it's hot? Probably not, right? She's the kind of woman that, you know, maybe she carries herself like a lady, right? Maybe she dresses a certain way, right? So that the aesthetic part comes into it, yes, but it starts with the inside, right? How do you see yourself first? What's the kind of person you want to become? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, who is the person that you want to attract, right? Who's your ideal audience? So in a relationship with a mate, it's like, what's that kind of guy you want? You want him to be tall, dark, and handsome. You want him to be a shorter guy, but he's super smart. You know, does he have to, you know, whatever it is that you want that's appealing to you, then you have the vision for the person you want to attract. If it's in a job situation, what kind of company do you want to work with? And does that company's values align with your values? So the first thing is, you got to get straight with yourself, know who you be, because you got to know what your values are so that you can align your values with another company's values, or else you're going to have a job that you hate. And, you know, we won't stay there long, or else you're going to have a mate that you are not a good fit with.
Not really compatible with.
You're not compatible with, right? So step one is with you. Step two is knowing who you want, that ideal mate. Step three is, okay, you got to be visible, right? You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself in places where, like, if you're home, you know, and you want to be found, you got to be visible. So there are ways that we can be visible. We can use social media, or we can do networking events. We can apply for jobs. We can do different things to get ourselves out there. So we're talking about building our brand, our personal brand. So it's starting from the inside, it's identifying our audience, it's becoming more visible, right? It's understanding how we show up in our messaging, what we're saying out of our mouth. Because you can look beautiful. And I'm sure you probably have friends who from head to toe, they look beautiful, but when they open their mouth, they start talking, you know, you shut it down right away, right?
Whoa, because you're going back like, no way.
Right? Imagine you go on a date, you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. This guy looks the part. You know, the checklist, everything checks off. You sit down, he opens his mouth, and you're like, oh no, this is never gonna work. Oh man,
right?
It's not gonna work, right?
Right.
Or he opens his mouth and you're like, wow. Right? He's speaking, he's saying all the right things.
Speaking
right?
my language. He's speaking my language.
He's speaking my language. He's
Right.
speaking my language, right? And so those are the things, those are the steps that you want to take. It's the things you want to think about as you're building your personal brand, right? You really want to start with yourself. It's really some internal work that we do with our clients. Some of our clients say, gosh, you're going deep with us. I didn't think we were going to be doing all this. I didn't think you're going to be asking me all these questions about myself, right? But it really starts with you, because how can you attract what you want if you don't even know who you are?
You know what it is, or you don't know what it is you want, right?
Yes. If you say, well, I just want clients.
Right.
Well, no, you don't want just any client.
You don't want any clients. and even when you're talking about personally, because we've worked on this with business, but the other thing is, personally, you want to attract the people that you want to be around, that you really want to spend time with, engage with, whatever that may be. And I like the fact that you mentioned even to the point of having a specific kind of job, there are things that you have to do in order to show up, to be in that, to even be considered there. And a lot of it has to do with how you yourself
Mhm.
show up in that space, whether it's a job, whether
Mhm.
it's as an entrepreneur, even meeting clients or prospective clients. They have to
Mhm.
see you in a certain light in order for them to even consider you or your business as a possibility, right?
Yes, and I want to add something to that. And you might find that you attract a certain type of people around you. You look around, and there are certain type of people that want to be around you. And you may not have ever thought of it. Like for you, for example, Tanya, like you're a polished professional, very well educated woman. You attract that to you because
Yeah,
that's who you are,
it's who I am.
right? Like
Right.
you're not like people who are not like that are repelled. Like they're like, oh no, no. Even some like men, they know they have to be gentlemen to attract to come. They're not rolling up on you like, yo, 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 baby, what's up? Like they already know.
Right.
They already know they don't even stand a chance. They're like, oh no, no, she's
She's
not
not
even gonna
the
give me a
person,
chance.
right. Exactly.
Because of how you carry yourself, because how
Right.
you show up, your presence, right? And
Mhm.
so if you start to attract, like for some of the other people, like if they start to attract things, or if they go to jobs and they're not getting the opportunities, or they're not getting promoted in positions, then there might be some other things that play there too. But they might want to think about like what's going on here? Like,
Mhm.
is there something that maybe it's me? Like, is there something, how I'm handling myself in meetings? Am I communicating in a certain way? Am I dressing in a certain way that they're already categorizing me? They're putting me in a box over here. Like, what's going on when I'm going into my interviews? How am I presenting myself? Am I
Right.
planting a seed that I don't want to be planting? They have to be thinking about that.
Right. And so what is the awareness? I mean, how do you become more aware of that if you really are attracting the people that you don't want, or you're planting seeds that you don't even realize? What would actually make you aware of what you're doing?
I think you need to take note of what you're attracting. Like, okay, this is happening. Then you need to go back to step one. Step one is getting clear on how you want to show up, right? And making sure that you're in alignment with that, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, the kind of person that I wanted to attract, like I'm a married woman, right? And the kind of guy that I wanted to attract I wanted a gentleman. I wanted
Mhm.
someone that would treat me very well, someone that would treat me, that was educated and was a good guy, would be good to his mom, right? And good to me and would be a great dad, right? But I wanted him to want somebody who would be a really good wife, right? Someone that would be a lady, right? Someone to be worthy of being treated like a very good, special person that he would cherish,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So how did I need to show up, right? And what would my conversation with him need to be, right? I went on this blind date with a guy, and we were trading war stories of dating, right? And he said to me, he's like, "Oh, this is before I met my husband." He said, "Oh, you're so refreshing to go on a date with. You're so nice, like so nice to go on a date with you." He goes, I was like, well, what were your prior dates like? He said, well, this one woman showed up and she took off her coat and she goes, "I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to get my drink on." Right. And he was like, oh, he was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here?" Right. And so you got to be mindful of how you show up. And I said to him, like, I think in writing my profile, because I met my husband online, I think I wrote something like, I was just very transparent in that in business, business is one thing, but in relationships, I'm very traditional. And I think in my profile, I wrote something like, you know, I look for what I'm seeking for. And I said something about wanting to treat my man like a king,
Mhm.
right? And my girlfriends are like, "Oh no, oh no, right? Oh no." Like you gonna attract somebody who wants you to be submissive, such and such and such. And I was like, I want someone who, is a leader. I want someone that's worthy of that, And they're like, don't write that, don't write that. I was like, but that's how I feel, and that's authentic to me, right? And so that's what I attracted, right? Someone
Yeah.
that was worthy of that.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
Bill is your husband Bill is that
So
kind of
when
person.
I say go back to, who you are, if you're attracting something else, go back to yourself
Yeah,
and say, what am I doing or what am I saying that's attracting that? What
right.
is it in my language? What is it in the way that I'm showing up that's bringing that to me?
That's bringing it right, right, right. So let me ask you, I know that as part of our work together, you did something that I thought was so insightful because
Mhm.
it's possible that people don't really get it. They don't really understand. But the thing that really helped me when you and I were working together was the notion of the archetypes.
Mhm.
And the reason it was so important to me, it was like, wow, this whole description, because there were several, you have so many archetypes, but then the description of who they are, what they do, it resonated so much that I realized there's a whole persona, so to speak, that suits these particular archetypes, the ones that I selected because they were appropriate for me.
Mhm.
So when someone, for instance, I'll tell you, one of my clients mentions often that her daughter's friends are always flock to her and they talk to her about what's going on because they kind of see her as a mother figure. And she's like,
Mhm.
I don't know why they always come, they want to come talk to me. And I had to say to her, yeah, but you seem to be the trusted person in their lives.
Mhm.
These are women who, from my understanding, a lot of them have issues with their mothers. And so I said, you appear to be this really respected, trusted person who's non-judgmental. And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that. But she's always like, well, yeah, but why would they come to me? I mean, she's always like, I don't know why they come to me. Like, am I the only mother out there that's like that?
Mhm.
But I know that for me, the notion of the archetypes was one that just was an eye opener, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of operate, to embrace and to operate in
Mhm.
this space of these particular archetypes that were selected for me. And
Mhm.
so can you talk a little bit more about the archetypes and how they apply to your life?
Sure, absolutely. Our brand archetypes are it's like the science underneath all of how um, we show up and the stories that we follow. And I have a whole slide deck to share with your audience if I can, if you're
Oh yeah,
okay with
sure,
that.
sure.
I'd love to share that. Let's see if we can. Let me just hold on one second. Let me just see if I can pull it up easily here. Hold on one second. There we go. That mode. Here we go. Can you see my screen
I
okay?
can, yes.
Okay, perfect. And I love it because it really does, it really is, I always say it's the secret sauce to really building your unforgettable brand. And uh, some people,
Whether the brand is business or personal.
well, business, we use it for businesses or personal
Mhm.
brand. And I find that um, people are used, a lot of major like iconic companies are using it, and a lot of big personal brands use it too. But there are many entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, solopreneurs that don't have never even heard of
Right, right.
archetypes before. So today your audience gets to learn about them
Ooh,
here. So we're going to go deep into that. As I mentioned, I'm a wife and a mom. You see my husband Bill there and my son Duke Durant here, and some of my clients, my brand
here.
strategists. And we talked about what branding is and what it isn't. It's not just a logo or colors or typography, but a brand is a person's gut feeling, right? I love this quote by Walter Lander. It says that products are made in factory, but brands are created in the mind, right? How do you want people to think about you? And what is wonderful about working with a brand strategist is that they help you design it. Like you can create how you want people to see and how you want them to feel about you.
Mhm.
So that brand is that person's gut feeling about a product, service, organization, or about you. And everyone is probably familiar with this quote by Maya Angelou that says that she's learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but they never forget how you made them feel, right? How you made them feel. And we know that feeling, like what we know that people make purchases, they make decisions first based on emotion, right? So if you can lock in and connect with people emotionally, they will remember you, whether you're going on a job interview, you're on a date, or you're, presenting an offer, you're in business, they will remember you. So it's really important. So we're talking about the secret sauce and you're asking about it, and it is archetypes. So archetypes are the shortcut to meaning, right? And meaning is the new marketing, right? Meaning is the new marketing. So what are archetypes? So we were throwing around this word like everybody knows what it is, but archetypes, archetypes are symbols and stories without space and time. They resonate with us on an unconscious level, and they reach our deepest desires. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung is responsible for this idea of archetypes, and many of you have experienced his work, probably with what is it, Myers-Briggs. You've probably taken Myers-Briggs test or the DISC assessment, any of those strength finders, you've done any of that. The underbelly of that work is from Carl Jung. So you've probably experienced some of that. Any of the personality profile work, the root of that comes from Carl Jung's work.
Okay.
So why use it in branding? Well, the reason we use it in branding is that it gives the brand clarity when you're trying to figure out, well, how should I be showing up? Like it helps with the personality, the core purpose, your values. It helps you really get clear on how you differentiate yourself from everyone else. It helps build trust authentically, and it helps build your bottom line. So if you're looking to have more influence, if you're looking to charge more for your services, building a brand based on archetypes can help you do that. And I will tell you, like, people hire brand strategists for one major reason. It helps you sell more of your product to more people over a longer period of time at a premium price. That's why people really cultivate and build brands. The other thing that I want to share with your audience, Tanya, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is just the science underneath why this works, right? So we know that that this works because it ties into human motivation, that every human on the planet have these human needs, right? Everybody has physiological needs. Like, we all have a need for air, water, food. We all have a need for certainty, stability, security, right? We all want to feel like we're safe, right? We have a need for belonging. That's why we join Facebook groups. That's why we want to have a mate in our lives. That's why we want to be close with family or have some kind of friendships or relationships. Many of us want to be successful in the work that we do. We want to have some form of mastery or competency in something that we do. And many of the people in your audience are at that higher level where they want, self-actualization, right? They want to fulfill a purpose. They have a higher ambition of really making an impact on the world. They want to do something significant. They want to make a significant impact in the lives of other people, right? So this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which many people have probably seen. But if you as you learn about the archetypes, you'll see how it all ties together. So Carl Jung is responsible for like 6 major archetypal families, but Margaret Mark and Carol Pearson pulled them out, expanded them to 12. So we're going to go over the 12. There are many, many more, but they're like the basic 12 are fun to look at. And then there are families within those. But most of the people look at these 12. And so as we go through the 12, I want your audience to start thinking about which ones resonate with them the most. And they may not be perfect, but which ones kind of speak to you, okay? And then that kind of helps you guide your brand, like mold your brand, like, oh, that sounds more like me. And you'll see how on the back end of what I'm showing you, I'll show you how iconic brands harness the power of archetypes in their work to attract more of their ideal customers.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So the first one we have is the innocent, and the innocent is all about free to be you and me. The innocent reminds people of a simpler time, right? If you're the innocent archetype, you make people feel optimistic. You're admired for your purity and beliefs and vision. Your shine is about optimism and faith, but there's also a shadow side. So every archetype has a positive side, what I call it their shine, and a shadow side. So the shadow is a tendency to avoid and deny or repress any problems, right? And what people want from you, if you're the innocent, is they want simplicity, right? They come to you because they want things to be simple. They like nostalgia, right? They want playful. They want things that are feel almost like just simplicity. The next one is a girl next door, and this ties into a need for belonging. If we think back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the motto is that all men and women are created equal, right? If this is you, like you seem very real and normal, right? People are attracted to you because they feel like you help them connect or feel like they're a part of a community, right? You understand and share their feelings. The shine is that realism, empathy, and lack of pretense. The shadow is losing one's own soul in an effort to blend in. So you got to be careful with that. What people want from you, if you're a girl next door or a guy next door, is they want to be understood, right? So if they feel like you really get them, you really understand them, they'll want to be with you. They'll be pulled into your ecosystem, your environment. The next is the hero. The hero's motto is where there's a will, there's a way. And the hero says that they're always about accomplishment. They accomplish what they set out to do, no matter how big it is. They're about mastery and competence, toughness and intelligent assessment of people and situations. You hold them accountable to take action, right? And if you're not a hero, you probably know some heroes in your life. But again, their shine is about competence and courage. Their shadow could be arrogance, always needing another battle to fight. But what people want from you, if you're a hero, is they want to achieve goals. So they're coming to you because they want high performance, right? So they're coming to you because you can help them do that.
Right.
The next one is the caregiver. I think you alluded to this earlier with your friend, saying that people are attracted to them because they always come to them. It's like a mother figure. Caregivers give people a soft place to land. That their motto is love your neighbor as yourself. If you're a caregiver, you're always there when you're needed. They never be able to adequately repay you for everything that you've given them. You're very generous. Your shine is compassion and generosity, but your shadow, so you have to be careful, is martyrdom and being exploited. You're the person people come to over again and again and again because they know that you're not going to say no. Okay. So you're the one in the office that they're like, some people, they give them that look like, you better not come over here and ask me because I'm going to say no. So they don't ask them. But if you're a caregiver, they come to you because you're sweet and nice. So be careful for that because that's the shadow. Now, what people want from you is they want to be taken care of. So you're laughing, Tonya. So I'm taking that some people like that.
I know some people like that. Yes.
So that's the caregiver. They're sweethearts. The explorer says, don't fence me in, right? They don't want to be fenced in. And this is one of Tonya's girls. We pulled one of her girls. You have the courage to try things and that other people won't. And Tonya, part of Tonya's brand is Explorer. She's really courageously alive. Part of that is the brand is an Explorer brand too. You give them permission to shed their concepts of what is expected or required. They live vicariously through you. Your shine is autonomy, being true to one's own soul. The shadow is aimless wandering. So we got to keep you on track. But what people want from you is they want to experience more. So if you think about Tonya's brand, Courageously Alive is about experiencing and more. It's about heal, thrive, and prospering, right? It's about living life to the fullest and experiencing more.
Right, right.
And then we have the rebel, right? The rebel says that rules are made to be broken, right? If you're a rebel archetype, you're bold enough to destroy what's wrong in the world. You're willing to speak up and say things that no one else will say. And you form your opinions independent of authority. So rebels, sometimes you may have some rebels on your team, and some people are like, they get on my last nerves. They always have something to say. They buck the system. But rebels are good to have, because if you're a leader, you don't want everybody to just say yes to you. You do want somebody to come and challenge your ideas, because rebels are great for that. And sometimes people will fear you if you're in leadership, and you always need to be able to look at things from different perspectives, and rebels will bring that to your team. The shine is radical freedom. They want to be free. The shadow is they could cross over to the dark side of crime. So you gotta watch out for that, right? Because they're by freedom by any means necessary.
Right. Okay.
And these are people, what people want when they come to you is they want to break the rules. Like they're like, all right, if only for the weekend, we want to break the rules. So one of the brands that's a rebel brand is Harley Davidson. So you find a lot of lawyers who put on their leather jackets and their helmets, and they get on their in their suits during the week, but on the weekends they want to just be free, right? They want to break all the rules of what's expected of them, and they want to go on the open road and let the wind blow through their hair and be on their Harley Davidson. Okay, that's rebel. Oops. And then we have the creator brand, and I think you have some creator in you too, Tonya. Yep, if you can imagine it, it can be done. That's the creator, right? You show them new ideas and products that they've never dreamed were possible, right? So you're showing them possibility. You teach them your craft so that they can improve their own creative pursuits. You inspire them to see the beauty in life, right? Your shine is creativity and imagination. You got to be careful of perfectionism, right? So sometimes creators want things to be so perfect, right? And what people want from you is they want to be inspired, right? That's what they're looking for from a creator. And then we have the jester. The jester says that you only live once, right? You make them laugh and otherwise forget about their daily stresses. You remind them to enjoy the moment that they're in. You have a sense of humor. In leadership, sometimes you bring some levity to tough situations, right? Sometimes it's like, all right, let's take a break, right? It's not that serious. We can figure this out, right? Sometimes you bring some fun to the environment, and sometimes that's needed. So your shine is joy. Your shadow, though, is frivolity and wasting time. So you got to be careful about that. What people want from you is they want to enjoy the moment. And then we have the sage. The sage says that the truth will set you free, right? The sage is really known as a trusted advisor, right? These are the people that really vet ideas. When they come to you, we know that you've already researched it. You've already done the work to figure things out. People, you're well informed, and people admire you for your intellect, right? So your shine is in intelligence. Your shadow is that you can study details for a long time and never act. So you got to be careful of that. And people want you for your wisdom. Like they know that you're wise. Some people will want to sit at your feet to learn from you. And then we have the magician, right? The magicians make things happen. And I think this is also a part of your branding.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And so you give them hope to achieve results that they seem are impossible, right? And that also ties back to a vision, right? Being able to see what's possible for them when they come into your environment, right? You connect them to their inner power in the work that you do with them. You go deep with them. And they're fascinated by the way that you think and you operate, right? In your shine, you're always looking for win-win solutions, right? You want your clients to win and you want their clients to win. And then the shadow is that you can become manipulative because you're really talented and gifted at what you do. So you have to be careful of that. And then what people want from you is they want transformation. So for many of you and your audience, the clients that you serve, and the people that are watching or listening to us, for the magician archetype, what people want is if this is what you are, they want to be transformed. So when they're coming in, they're in one state and they're coming to you because they want you to help them get to where they want to go, right?
Right. Yes.
And then the final one we have is the ruler. The ruler says that power isn't everything, it's the only thing, right? But you remind people to think big, right? They're inspired by your amazing result, like, and you give them a level of certainty. You kind of set the rules. You help them shed their limiting beliefs and their scarcity mindset, right? Your shine is responsibility and leadership. You're seen as a boss. Your shadow is unable to delegate. Sometimes you're like, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And what people want when they're looking for you is they want significance, right?
Okay.
So that's what people are looking for from a ruler. So if these are you, so think about these. And what I always tell people to do is pick three of those. And I know we went through them pretty quickly, but that kind of gives you an idea. What I wanted to do really fast is go through some of the brands and just kind of show you how corporate is using them, and just a few. So we have Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They're both, if you pour them in a glass bottle, they look the same, right? But Coke and Pepsi have very different brand archetypes. Coca-Cola is the innocent brand archetype. They use like very nostalgic, they have the Santa Claus with the rosy cheeks. They had the song, they talk about taste the feeling, and they talk about have a Coke and a smile. And then Pepsi was like the Pepsi generation. They use a lot of entertainers. So Pepsi is the jester, because the jester is also about levity and fun and entertainment. So you may remember like Michael Jackson, for those of you who are like my age, you might remember that. So that's the way they differentiate the brand. They're the same thing practically, but they show up differently in how they market their brand.
And let me say this, that in a taste test, people usually prefer Pepsi, but the people who love Coca-Cola will not switch. Even though they prefer Pepsi by taste.
Exactly. And that tells you what the power of the brand is and how people emotionally are attached to a brand, right? It's how the way they occupy the mind and the heart of the brand, that even though they know that they like the taste better, they still won't switch.
Exactly.
This is another example of how you can differentiate yourself in this category of vehicles. Cars, we have the Volvo. Volvo's known for, when I ask you, Tonya, when you think about Volvo?
Safety. Yeah, they about safety.
Safety, right? So safety is the caregiver. The caregiver is all about keeping you safe, right? And in this ad, it's the summer of safety, and it's Volvo, right? And then you look at TripAdvisor, right? TripAdvisor, you see the wise owl, and it's the word advisor. So which brand do you think of?
It's the sage.
It's the sage, right? It's the sage. So now you're starting to see how these big brands are utilizing archetypes in their branding too. IKEA is all about being accessible to everyone. It's a brand that's accessible to every man and woman. So this is the girl next door, right? It's like Walmart. Anybody can go there. Anybody can use it. It's an affordable brand. Victoria's Secret is more, and I don't know if we skipped over the Lover brand. I don't remember reading the Lover brand, but this is the Lover brand. This is more about passion and sensual, decadent. Etsy is the creator brand, right? This is where you go for creative stuff, right? And so I think I'll stop there. This is some information on how you can reach me, but let me just stop the share there.
Okay.
And we can kind of talk and unpack anything you want to do there.
Okay. And I want to say thank you for joining. Daisy, I see you're on as well. We are talking about a brand new you, and Ange just went over excuse me, Angela just went over the brand archetypes, which you can actually utilize as you're building your own personal brand. And so, and one thing that I'm curious about is when we're looking at the brand archetypes and some of the examples that you gave, particularly for the brands, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Volvo, Etsy, so on and so on. And there's a very distinct perception that they have, and which means they've really, really maximized their use of the brand archetype in their advertising, in their promotions, everything that they do. How do you as a person begin to maximize whatever archetype you resonate with in your own personal brand? Because we're talking more about personal with this one. I know with business, it's a little bit, there's more you can do, but I mean, personally, how could you begin to utilize those archetypes?
Yeah, I think it's once you're really clear on how you show up. So for me, my dominant archetype is the magician or the alchemist, right? And so I know the more I learned about it, I was like, yeah, so that really resonates with me. Like I really am passionate about transformation and seeing how I can serve people and seeing how I can take them from where they are to where they want to be, right? So how can that show up? How can I show up in a way that I can serve people like that? Or how can I, in my daily life, look for patterns? Because they're all about looking for patterns or making things that look like they're easy, or look for win-win situations. So one of the strengths is the shine is looking for win-win situations. So I might even show up on your show and say, you know, as part of the things that I do, like, what do you want the show like? You know, when I go on some podcast or something, I might ask the host, tell me what you want to achieve from the show. Like, what would you like us to talk about? What would you like your audience to know? What would be like a win for you, right?
Exactly.
Like that might be the way I show up and how I conduct myself, right? And that's a win for both of us because I'm going to do what you want me to do and you'll be happy with me and I'll be happy, right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't have it and that feels authentic for me and that feels good for you, right? So if you're the lover brand, for example, the lover brand is all about making you feel like you're the only one, right? And it's about developing intimate relationships. So that might be in the work environment or I always like to use the example of a networking event because my husband does this really well. Imagine you're at a networking event and there are all these people there. You know, networking events, people come through the door and they're like, oh, such and such is here. And if you've ever been at a networking event, you're talking to somebody else comes in that they want to meet. It's almost like you're invisible.
You know,
They're looking over your shoulder. They'll be like, okay, nice to meet you. And they're off to meet the other person.
Right.
And it really doesn't feel good. But I've watched my husband do this at big events, and we've been to a lot of different events, and I've watched him, and he's excellent at this. And if you're in a networking event and he's talking to you, he's focused completely on you. He wants to know all the things about you. He's really asking you all about you. He's not even talking about himself. He's asking about you. And if Oprah Winfrey walks in the door, or, you know, a famous Barack Obama walks in and the crowd is going wild, it's almost like he didn't even hear it. He's saying, so Tonya, so where did you grow up? Oh, that's fascinating. And you went to school such and such with design and you do leather goods. That's amazing. Like I've never met anybody that does leather goods and scuba diving. Where do you dive? And do you do deep sea diving at night? And do you, right? It's amazing. And how that makes the other person feel, you'll never forget him. Right. You'll never forget him. That's what a lover brand does.
Okay.
Right. And it's understanding the strengths of that archetype. And it feels natural. Once you understand, you're like, that's what I do normally. Then do that thing. Like lean into it fully.
And just acknowledge, accept it, and just really, really not just embrace it, but also embody whatever that.
Yes. And so let me give you another example. So I have a client she's a powerhouse woman, right? She went to Harvard. She has a job she works for the government. She's like, I can tell you what I do, but if I tell you, I have to kill you, right? That kind of job, right? So she goes to work every day. She works long hours. She drives a long distance to get there and long distance to come back. And every day she's pretty much exhausted. And she did this archetypal assessment. And her archetype, her natural archetype is the caregiver, but she shows up at work as the ruler. And I said to her, why are you showing up at work as the ruler? And she said, because I feel like that's what everybody around me expects me to be. I feel like because of the job that I have, the responsibility that I have, I feel like that's what they want me to be, right? And I said, I think you should embody who you naturally are. I think the reason why you're so exhausted every day is because, I mean, it's a big job, a lot of responsibility, but on top of that, you're trying to play out a role of someone you're not.
Right.
And getting back to the whole conversation that we're having today about putting a stake in the ground of who you are and leaning in fully to who you are in 2023, I said to her, lean into the caregiver, because the caregiver can be a fierce leader in how you nurture and provide a safe space for your people, how you care for them, how you're considerate and generous with them and kind, but still a leader. You can still hold people accountable. You can still tell them what you need from them, but look out for them, have their back, be supportive, and now she's leading into that. And she's enjoying her work more.
Yeah.
She's still tired. She's still tired, but she's not as exhausted.
Yeah. So she's not as exhausted. And we got a comment that's great men, because I think it is important when you are looking at who you are, what you do. And really, if you're using these archetypes to help develop your own personal brand, they help you. Because as you're saying, there's so much behind the scenes of that archetype. It's not just what you just showed. It's that, but there's more to it if you actually embrace all that the archetype really represents. And so, is there anything else that you would share with anyone? If you have any questions or comments, put them in chat, because Ange will answer all the questions. But are there any other things that you would share with people about developing a personal brand?
Yeah, there is. This is another big thing that I really want people to understand, and how they show up and how they serve the world, right? I want them to understand. Oh, I see questions coming in. Yay!
Go ahead. I'll ask you.
Okay. I want them to understand, because the people that you serve, you're serving them at a higher level. So we're talking to a special audience here, and they're leaders. And so I want them to think about how they serve other people. So they have to lean in to who they are, be clear about who they are, but also how they're serving other people, because that's going to be the impact that they make on the other people is really kind of the legacy that they'll leave, right? So I want them to think about, the brand is really not what they say it is. It's what everybody else says it is. So it's like what people are saying when they're not in the room, like what people will say. It's like what Eric always says, the legacy question is about what you're leaving behind, right? What I want them to think about is
Eric is a member of your team.
Yes. I want them to think about how can they show up in such a way that they can impact people and change people's lives, right? What can they do? What kind of work can they do in a way that they're leaning in so fully that they're thinking, like for me as a magician, like what kind of transformation can I bring about this year in the lives of other people, right? As an explorer brand for you, what kind of work can I do this year to have people live more fully? Like what can I do have them experience more this year, right? For Eric as a ruler, how can I allow people to have a more significant impact in their lives this year, right? So be thinking that so that you can lean in fully to who you are. But also, if you're able to do that, then you're automatically going to be building a great brand. Because when you can do that in other people's lives, and you show up fully and you do that in other people's lives, then you're making them better. And then everybody around you are going to be like, oh no, she's the person who, had me thinking. Like I worked with Tonya And she pulled things out of me that I didn't even know was there, or she had me thinking about things on a deeper level than I ever thought for myself. And now my life is fuller and it's richer because of my experience with her,
Right.
right? That's what you want,
That's what
right? And you didn't have to be anything that you weren't to get those results because you just leaned in fully to who you already were.
Right, right. So Eric asks the question, when is the right moment to start with your brand?
Like now.
Now. And that's why, and it's so good you said that, because that's why I'm starting the year with this
Mhm.
whole topic on, it's a brand new year. It can be a brand new you. However you choose to show up is the way that you choose to show up, but it's a way that works for you and it really benefits you, and it actually helps you to leave your own legacy while you're living in whatever your purpose is. And I think that's the important thing that's here.
Mhm.
So any last minute things? Because we're going to wrap up in a very couple of minutes. So
Yeah, you got me all started. I'm like, oh man, we can talk about branding all day long. And I would just
I
say,
know you
you know,
get jazzed up. You jazzed up. You're like, yeah, let me tell you that. But go ahead.
branding is such a big topic, right? It's such a big thing. And I would say for someone who's like, okay, so what's the first step? Like, what do I even do? And I would just say, start with yourself. Think about, who do I want to become? Like over the year, okay, it's 2023. Who is the person I want to become? So start with an assessment of yourself. Like, okay, this is how I'm showing up now,
And
but
just all, we got,
how do I envision myself, right? What would be the next version? What's the 2.0 version
yeah.
of Daisy? What's the 2.0 version of Robin White, right? What's the 2.0 version of Eric Garcia, right? And then envision who you want to become and think about, okay, so if I want to become that person, what does that person stand for? Like, what does that person take a stand for? And what do they put a stake in the ground? What are the things that they do? And what are the things that they would absolutely not do? Like, we don't say, for example, you might say to yourself, this year, I'm going to say no to things that I really don't want to do.
Exactly.
I'm going to say no to those things. And I'm going to say yes to the things that I really want to do. That it might start with something as simple as that. Or you might say, I know that I'm the girl next door, so I'm going to build community this year. I'm going to focus on building community and letting people around me who I want in my community, to let them know they belong, right?
I'm going to, they're valued and that they mean something. They really have meaning to you in your life. So
exactly. So that's where I would start, and look at your core values and what you stand for, and what it is you want. And I would say, ask yourself when you're making your decision, is this the decision that the 2.0 version of me, the higher version of me, the best version of myself that I can imagine would make that decision? And if it's yes, then you move yourself forward. And if it's no, just say, oh no, the 2.0 version of myself would not go to the supermarket wearing hair curlers. She would not show up like that.
And that's so funny. That's a whole nother story, because like, I remember as a young person trying to do that, and my grandmother was like, oh, absolutely not. You're not going out of the house like that. So that makes me laugh, because sometimes you're like, I just have to go get some stockings. It's like, oh, we got to those curlers out. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So anyway, let me as we're wrapping up, I want to talk briefly about the upcoming events that we have, and then I'm going to let you talk about something that you have coming up. For those of you who are here, we have Courageous Conversations each month, and next month's Courageous Conversation is in February, the first Saturday of February, and it's about love. And it starts with you, and it has to start with you. And we're going to talk about why love it's so important that before you begin to talk about loving everybody else, you love yourself first. It is one of the things that, for those of you who are readers of the Holy Bible, it's a scripture that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, which means you have to love yourself first before you can love the other people around you. The other thing is, we're here on Clubhouse. We're in Clubhouse on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 8:30. For those of you who are on Clubhouse, you can join us there. For those of you who are here, you can always schedule a breakthrough call with me if you're interested in finding out more about how to actually do some mindset shifts that actually get you to a place of empowerment. Now, with that being said, Ange, go for it. tell me about some things that are coming up with you, and how can people contact you if they're interested?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So super excited about a retreat that we're having just in a couple of weeks. So we still have a little bit of space, so we would love to welcome your audience to join us. It's not for everybody. It is it's an intimate setting. We're doing story selling. So if you're looking to, it's really for high achieving professionals who are looking to leverage story selling in their businesses. It's for entrepreneurs with service-based businesses. We would love to invite you. It's a 3-day retreat starting the 19th. It's from the 19th. Daisy's like, I'll be there. Yes, she will be there. It's going to be from the 19th of January through the 22nd in King of Prussia, just outside of Philadelphia, where we're going to walk you through how to craft your signature stories. I will tell you, stories are very powerful. Just like we were talking about building your brand, storytelling is a part of building your brand. And it is, we will, Tonya has been a part of it. So you know what that experience is like. And we will be walking you through how to craft your story. So by the time you leave, you will have your signature story ready to go and ready to be able to use and deliver in any environment that you choose, whether it's at corporate America or you're sharing your stories with your client base. And I'll tell you, like, Daisy came to the last one and she leveraged her storytelling. She went to the bank to get a loan, and the loan officer leaned in and said to her, like, why should we give you this money? Tell us your story. Like, well, what's your story? And she was able to rattle her story off and walk out of there with thousands of dollars in loan money from a bank. So it works. We know that it works. And you'll be surrounded by high achieving other women in the room as we do that and support you in your storytelling. But it isn't for everybody. If you're looking to do it with, she put $10,000 in there.
Awesome, yeah. Awesome, yeah.
If you're looking to if you're somebody who's not comfortable with selling, if you feel like it's, you don't want to be salesy or pushy, it's definitely someplace that you want to be in the room. So you can shoot me a DM, Angela Durant, or you can shoot me a message at Embrace Your Brilliance, Discover Your Freedom in our private Facebook group. Eric is here too. He's part of our team. He'll be flying in from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam to join us. He'll also be one of the presenters in the group. So he will post, he'll share it here. I guess he'll share the link.
He shared the link. It's in there. Yeah.
He did. Okay. All right. Okay. So it's there. You have all the information there. We love to have you join us. We'll connect with you, talk with you, make sure that you're fit to be in the room with these other brilliant ladies, and we'll go from there. So
all right. Awesome. Awesome. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because again, as I mentioned, this is the time of year to start with really defining who you are, what you want to do, how you want to show up in the world. And I want to thank you for giving guidance around what that looks like and how people can do that. So with that being said,
my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody, take care. Thank you for participating, and bye for now.
Bye.